What is up, guys? How are you all doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. And we're here with a quick video. I'm going to be talking about one thing only, and that is Stranded Deep. Yes sir. A new game was released the other day and I think it is brilliant. It is called Stranded Deep. It is a survival game. However, it's kind of revolutionary in the sense that there is not much else to do but survive. And this video is going to consist of my full in-depth review, as I always do. I'm going to be talking about the good things and the bad things and giving you my opinion about the game so that you guys can make up your minds to see if you want to buy the game or avoid it completely. I'm going to try to make this video as concise and as detailed as possible, and the best way I can describe this game is that it is very similar to the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks and also Robinson Crusoe and stuff like that. The game, in terms of its survival, is similar to other games already out there. However, it lacks an AI and a human element. And I say this because there's absolutely no other human being around. There's no one to interact with. You have a few AI crabs and a few sharks, but that's about it. It is literally just you by yourself. And that's what Stranded Deep is about. It's a true, pure survival game in the original sense of the word. For example, The Forest had the cannibals, Rust had other players, Daisy and H1Z1 had zombies and other players, whereas Stranded Deep is basically just you on a desert island. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with the good things. Now, the game, aesthetically, visually, is one of the most stunning and beautiful things you will ever see. It is very, very captivating. I mean, when you look out into the horizon and you see the islands and the ocean and then the sunset and sunrise, it is magnificent. So visually, it is like one of the best games. I mean, I could compare it to things like The Forest, maybe even Crisis, because the graphics are actually immaculate. I mean, one problem I faced is that when I put it on ultra settings, like max settings, the game kind of skipped and lagged every now and again, even though I have a great processor, great graphics card. So I don't know if that's an optimization issue, because the game is in early access, so I don't know, it might be that. Now, in terms of the mechanics, the game is actually very, very detailed. I mean, the building and the crafting is quite unique. I'm making a separate video about that, so stay tuned for it. However, the building mechanics and the kind of menu system and the crafting mechanics is actually very unique. It is very different. You don't kind of do it from a menu. You put all the items together on the floor and then you hold the left mouse button to see a new crafting menu come up, and then you can craft whatever it is that you select. You can craft different items like crude axes, crude hammers, spears and whatnot, and you can also create modular buildings, so you can create foundations and steps and walls and roofs. There are some great intricacies with the game as well. For example, you can climb palm trees, you can drink out of coconuts and eat coconuts as food once you break it open, you can catch crabs and catch fish and cook them, you can battle it out with sharks like tiger sharks and great white sharks, and even harvest them for food and other things. You can craft rafts so that you can sail from one island to the next safely, or moderately safely, as well as equipment and gear like I said before. However, there is one big downside to the game, and that is the fact that it hasn't got much replayability. After about 3 hours or maybe 4 hours max, there is nothing to do because you've pretty much accomplished everything. The main end game that is in question right now basically comes in the form of finding better equipment. So instead of creating a crude hammer or a crude axe, you find a proper axe or a proper hammer, or maybe a machete or something like that, and that's about it. Also, because the game is in early access, there are many glitches and bugs. For example, you will clip through the islands, there will be sharks swimming underneath the islands and you can see the fin coming through the actual sand instead of the ocean. Sometimes your equipment will glitch out and you can't equip it, or if you do equip it, you can't equip a different item, so you have to click escape to go onto the pause menu and then go back onto the main menu, because it stops you from interacting with what you have in front of you. For example, if you stab a crab with a spear, it doesn't allow you to take that crab and do something with it, like take it and put it in your inventory or hold it out and cook it. It's basically frozen. The glitch basically freezes your character. Other glitches include your shadow. The Forest had something similar to this, but the item that you're holding in your hand, you can see the shadow of that on the floor. However, you don't see the shadow of your actual player, so it's basically a floating axe or a floating hammer or a floating spear, and it just looks weird. Other glitches include things like sharks. Now, I don't know if this is actually part of the game or a glitch, but the tiger shark especially doesn't fight back. It just does circles around you, and occasionally if you hit it, it swims away. I also love the fact that this game has stayed true to the survival theme and tried to make it as realistic as possible. Like I said earlier, to get water out of coconuts, you have to actually hit it so that you can get to the water, and then you have to hit it a few more times to break it in half and then eat it. But other realistic things include the HUD, for example. The HUD is very minimalistic. There's absolutely nothing on there. The only thing you'll see on occasion is if you're about to interact with something, it will pop up as an icon in front of you. But even things like your health, the food stamina, and the water stamina bar, all of that is actually on your watch, which is a great feature that they've added into the game. What you do is you hold F, and then the character pulls his arm out in front of him, and you can see the watch. The watch shows the time, the date, and how many days you've survived. But if you click on the watch while you hold F, it goes to another screen, and on that screen it shows your health and your food and your water levels. You can create like a campsite, campfires, and even cook food on the fires, which is actually great. And you can go hunting for food with the spear and whatnot, and it really does give you that true sense of survival, as though there's nothing around you, and you do somewhat lose your mind because there's nothing to do. So I suppose that is realistic, maybe not not great in terms of gameplay features, but is very, very realistic. Also, I don't know if other people have found this, but when you go onto the actual dinghy or the raft that you start off with in game and you drift out into the sea, sometimes it just disappears randomly. I don't know if it breaks because it deteriorates because you used it too much. I don't know if it's because you got caught on something or a shark attacked it or whatever, but sometimes what happens is it just completely disappears for no reason, and now you're stranded in the middle of the ocean and you've got nothing to float on, which is very, very inconvenient. But I don't know if that's an actual gameplay feature or maybe it's a glitch, but that's something that could possibly be looked into. But anyways, that's pretty much my review for the game. I think it's a great game. It's very well made. There are a lot of intricacies and details. The only thing is it's lacking in features because, like I said, it's early access. There are a lot of bugs as well because it is, again, early access, so there is not much to do. After about 3, maybe 4 hours, you've experienced the entire game. The best you can do is, like I said, you can go search for ships that are wrecked that are in the sea, or plane crashes that are in the sea, you know, underwater. Go scavenge for better items such as a machete or a bucket or maybe a compass and things like that. So there isn't much going on in terms of gameplay, so it's very bare bones, it's very basic. However, that goes well with the realism. But that's about it for my review. Let me know if you like the game, if you dislike the game, if you agree with the things I said, if you disagree with the things I said, if you've played the game or if you're going to get it. Also, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you did not enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Sniper 474, and I'm out. I'll see you on the battle.